Have you ever felt so overwhelmed with life that you secretly wished for a zombie apocalypse just so we could all start over again from scratch? If so, then this dude Akira is about to be living your dream, at least until he realizes that it's more like his worst nightmare. This isn't just the end of the world, it's a chance to do everything he's ever wanted, from riding a badass motorcycle to becoming a superhero, and battling a zombie great white shark. So get ready, because we're here to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to survive the best apocalypse ever in Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead. This guy's about to realize that the end of humanity might not be so bad after all. We first meet our hero Akira as he's running for his life from a pack of flesh-hungry zombies, but the crazy thing is that he's worried more about being late for work. In fact, it all started about a year ago when he was a bright-eyed graduate ready for his first day on the job, but that was his biggest mistake. It seemed like a dream come true until they had him working overtime on the first night, and before he knew it, it had already been 2 straight days on the clock before they let him go home. After a while, the stress even led to a friendship-ending argument with his buddy Kencho. The only thing that kept him going was a crush on his coworker Otori, but after finally getting a chance to talk to her one day, he realized that she was actually miserable as well. One morning, Akira wakes up in his trash-filled apartment and shuffles down the stairs, almost zombie-like himself, but this time as he reaches the bottom, he finds the building's superintendent gnawing on some lady's neck. The man turns around with hunks of human flesh falling out of his mouth, and realizing that he's about to be munched on next, he takes off running with the constantly growing horde of zombies furiously chasing after him, which catches us up to where he is right now. Okay, this kid needs to stop worrying about being late for work, or else he'll end up early for his appointment with the Grim Reaper. The truth is that these zombies just saved him from a miserable existence, but what he does next is literally going to make the difference between life and death. According to real-world data, in most large-scale disasters, anywhere from 50 to 90% of all fatalities occur within the first 24 hours. This is when most people are caught off guard with no idea what's happening or a plan to escape, and survival here is more about quick decisions and luck than anything else. But if you're able to make it past that threshold, then your odds of surviving a week or longer can go up to as high as 70% or more, because by then you've most likely secured some kind of shelter, and the challenge becomes keeping yourself supplied until help arrives, or in this case, if help arrives. Now, Akira already knows a zombie when he sees one, which puts him one step ahead in terms of understanding the threat. As we can see from what happened with the caretaker and the woman on the street, the infection clearly spreads by bite. That's exactly what you'd expect from a zombie outbreak, but it's still an important detail because it gives him something to focus on. So, no matter how chaotic a situation gets, his #1 priority is always to avoid being bitten. In psychology, this is explained by the cognitive load theory, which found that people with one clear objective always do the best in high-stress situations. This is why first responders and military personnel are trained to focus on clear task-oriented actions, because it narrows their decision field and greatly improves the overall chances of survival. Unfortunately, these zombies are fast, but the good news is that they're clumsy and tend to overshoot their targets. As he's running, Akira should knock over trash cans, furniture, or anything else that he finds in the halls to trip them up, but eventually he'll need to find shelter. Since he's limited for options, I'd try to make it to a safe apartment on one of the upper floors and barricade myself inside, where he'll have access to basic supplies and ways to signal for help. That should keep him alive through the first 24 hours and give him a much better chance of surviving long term. With nowhere else to turn, he eventually makes it all the way to the building's rooftop, jumping to the other side of a safety fence just in time. As he looks around, he sees that the outbreak has already taken over the entire city, but that's when he realizes something even more important. It means that he gets the entire day off of work. All of a sudden, this just became the best day of Akira's life, and for a while he just lies there basking in the sunshine with the angry horde of shamblers only a few feet away. He's wondering wondering what to do next when he remembers that his crush Otori is still out there, and texting the girl to see if she's alright, she replies back asking him to come to her place. As he's scaling down the side of the building, he comes across this pregnant couple and mentions that he's going into the city, offering to bring back some supplies later on. Reaching the street, he borrows a bike and puts on some music as he hits the road, dodging zombies the entire way until he finally makes it to the girl's apartment. Nobody comes to the door, so he tries the handle and finds it unlocked, timidly making his way inside until he finds her hiding in the kitchen. Asking if she's alone, the woman shakes her head no, and when he looks behind him, he sees their zombified boss stumbling around in a bathrobe. The zombie charges as soon as it spots them, but he's too injured to run, and his only choice is to fight the guy off with his own toupee. Remembering his days as a wide receiver, he lowers his shoulder and levels him straight into the wall, giving Otori a chance to finish him off with a heavy magazine. But it turns out that she was already bitten, and after collapsing to the ground, she rises back up a moment later like a lifeless puppet on a string. The woman immediately turns on Akira, forcing him to throw her off and make a break for the door, but just before leaving, he takes one last chance to confess his love, relieved that he finally got a moment to express his true feelings. The kid returns home just after dark, but after he reaches the pregnant couple's apartment, he's horrified to see that the biters have already found it, and now his neighbors are nowhere in sight. Back in the safety of his apartment, the grim reality of what happened begins to set in as he realizes that the zombie apocalypse might not be so much fun after all. Feeling inspired, he decides that it's time to start living life the way he's always wanted, and taking out a notebook, he starts writing down a bucket list of 100 things he wants to do before becoming a zombie. He's already checked the first one off the list, which is tell someone I'm in love with them, and as the hours go by, he keeps writing down ideas until he can't think of anything else, feeling excited about the future again for the first time in a while. Okay, I'm glad that our boy finally got a chance to say how he really feels, but now I think it's time for a reality check. Some of the ideas on his bucket list do look like fun, but he won't make it past line 2 if he doesn't get his priorities in order first. Akira here still has no idea just how bad the situation really is, but based on everything that he's seen so far, it looks like the infection has already spread across the entire city. In the real-life aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, which was one of the deadliest hurricanes in US history, it took at least 3 to 5 days for federal aid to reach the hardest hit areas, and several weeks or more before the areas were eventually secured. That means that Akira here should plan to survive on his own for at least the next 2 weeks or 2 months before any form of organized support arrives, if they ever come at all. His first priority is to establish a reliable shelter, and since his room hasn't been found yet, he should use any sturdy furniture like the fridge, dressers, or chairs to barricade the door, while continuing to use the balconies as his primary way in and out of the building. Next, he'll need a supply of clean drinking water because he won't last more than 3 days without some good old H2O. The municipal water lines are bound to lose pressure soon, so first, he should fill up every container in the apartment, like the bathtub, sink, and any buckets or bottles with as much tap water as he can. After that, he can use his balcony or the roof to set up as a way to collect rainwater. The trick is to hang several tarps or plastic sheets so that they're flat in the air with a slight sag in the middle to form a bowl, and then poke drainage holes in the bottom and allow water to funnel into a container underneath, putting up as many of these as possible to maximize his daily yield, and filtering the water through a cloth before boiling it so that it's safe to drink. The average person needs 2 to 3 liters of water per day to survive, but thanks to Tokyo's regular rainfall, he could collect as much as 50 to 100 liters per week with a reliable setup. Now, after establishing a steady supply of water, I'd use large sheets to make a huge help sign and hang it from his balcony or place it up on the roof. Then, over the following weeks, he can carefully scavenge for supplies from the nearby apartments, while keeping a low profile until he figures out if this is really the end of the world. In the morning, Akira starts off the day with a whole new sense of purpose in life. cleaning his room and going on a no-budget shopping spree at the grocery store, which checks 2 more activities off of his list. He even tries dyeing his hair to look like Gi-hyun at the end of Squid Game Season 1, but eventually decides to go back to his normal look. After some more adventures, all while dodging zombies along the way, he picks up a sweet motorcycle and ends the night with a big fireworks display down at the park. But even after spending all day doing whatever he wants, he still feels a little unfulfilled. By day 5, he manages to put up a little campsite on the roof and grill himself a nice juicy steak, only to realize that he's fresh out of seasoning. He could just eat it plain, but that's not how he does things anymore, so he decides to risk it all and head back into town for some more supplies. Everything's going according to plan until he hears a noise at the back of the store, and all of a sudden, another survivor in a motorcycle helmet jumps out and kicks him square in the chest. He's able to save himself from a beatdown by promising that he's not a zombie, and when they take off their mask, he realizes that they are actually a girl. But she makes it clear right away that she is not looking for a friend. Just then, they hear a man being chased outside, and Akira gets himself involved only to lead the zombie right back into the store. But the girl busts out a collapsible baton and cracks it over the head, before using a noise device to distract another zombie that follows them inside. When the fight's over, he tries inviting her back to his place, but the girl insists that she'd rather travel alone, saying how guys like him always make things more dangerous, as she disappears into the city with her supplies. By now, he's starting to feel pretty lonely, and remembering the fight that he had with his best friend Kencho, he decides to give the guy a call to see if he's alright. To his surprise, his friend is actually still alive. The only problem is, he's stranded at a love hotel with no way out. They'll have to fight through the zombies if he's going to escape, but now that Akira here has a new perspective on life, he's willing to do whatever it takes for the chance to save his friend. Okay, he clearly didn't listen to that girl's advice, but she made a very good point. Guys like Akira here are always putting themselves in danger to help other people, just like he's about to do again right now. And this got me thinking, if you're trying to survive a zombie apocalypse in the heart of Tokyo, then what would be the ideal party size to have? Well, going solo, like the girl here, definitely has its benefits, making you extremely stealthy with low resource needs and no arguments about what to do next. But it also leaves you with no backup, no one to carry the loot, and most importantly, no one to use as a meat shield if everything goes south. Now, running duos is a little bit better, giving most of the benefits of going alone without the risks of a larger group. A large group of 5 or more gives you the numbers to potentially create something close to a functional society, but it attracts too much attention from the undead, and with supplies in high demand, you run the risk of everyone turning on each other for food and water. The ideal group would be a squad of like 3 or 4. Now, Akira's new motorcycle gives him a great means of transportation, but it's also incredibly loud. That's a problem because the zombies are mainly attracted to noise, right? But they'll also run right past you to chase a more interesting sound. Knowing this, Kencho should rev the bike a few blocks away from the building, then kill the engine when he's close enough and allow himself to coast up to the door. If he does it right, this should lure all the zombies to the other end of the block, clearing the way for him to get inside. He's also using his football pads as armor to protect against bites, which is actually a great idea, but the one thing that he still hasn't looked for is a weapon. He'll have to use whatever's available at first, but I'd look around for a decent blunt object like a baseball bat or a metal pipe, and eventually try to upgrade to a crowbar from there, because not only are they great for crushing and stabbing, but they can also be used to open doors or windows, making them incredibly useful while out looking for supplies. Putting on his football gear, the kid rips through the city on his motorcycle, dodging one crowd of zombies after another. And although he has a few close calls, he makes it to the hotel sometime after dark. The street is crawling with biters, leaving him with no easy way to get through, but taking out a Bluetooth speaker from his pocket, he throws it into the crowd and turns on the music. using it as a distraction so he can get past. Moving like he's back on the field, he rushes his way past the stragglers and across the roofs of cars until he finally gets to the door, quickly sprinting inside, where he steamrolls one of the zombified customers straight into the wall. Checking the hallway to see if it's clear, his buddy Kensho almost has a heart attack when someone comes barreling around the corner, but it's just his best friend Akira here to save the day. As they're apologizing for the fight, they're interrupted by another group of zombies that stumbles into the hall, but they're able to escape by running up the stairwell. Reaching the roof, they manage to jam the door shut with a ladder, and after finding a way back down, Kensho cooks them a delicious meal at a restaurant nearby. Afterwards, he takes a look at Akira's bucket list and gets emotional when he sees that one of the activities was to fix their friendship. The conversation makes Akira realize that he officially has a new dream. And writing it down, he says that what he wants to do next is become a superhero, but his friend points out that it's going to be difficult when he doesn't have any superpowers. The next morning, they decide that they need to get out of the city, and he already knows exactly where he wants to go next. There's an aquarium nearby where they have a state-of-the-art shark suit that was specifically built to protect the diver from bites, and now he wants to use it as an anti-zombie suit to make his dreams of becoming a superhero come true. His buddy Kensho here thinks that it is a great idea, so they decide to stop at a Don Quixote across the street to gather some supplies. But getting there won't be as easy as they think. They've just reached the store when suddenly they hear a loud crash in the road and turn around to see a bus full of survivors about to be overrun by the zombies. A few of them try to escape, but they're quickly overwhelmed by the living dead before they can get away. And in the crowd, he spots the same girl from earlier fighting for her life. She's taking down the freaks one after another using her baton, but there's way too many, even for her. And rushing for the store, they're able to get inside just in time. Besides the mystery girl, they also managed to save the bus driver and 2 other passengers, but with the entrance blocked, they decide to take a look around while they wait for things to quiet down inside. It turns out that the bus was actually headed to the aquarium because it's supposed to be a safe zone full of other survivors. The driver here blames himself for what happened, but they're both too distracted by the girls to notice that he's hiding a fresh bite wound on his hand. Okay, this is not good, and it's only a matter of time before that turns into a problem. Like the mystery girl is about to point out, these two still aren't taking the apocalypse seriously. Akira wants to be a superhero who saves everyone, so he's obviously not going to leave anyone for dead, but that doesn't mean he can just let his guard down once the zombies are gone. That's why from now on, rule number 1 after picking up any new survivors should be to always check them for recent bite marks. Now, keeping infected people around puts the whole group in danger, and even for a hero like Akira, the only way to prevent that is to stop them from joining the squad. So unfortunately for the bus driver here, Buddy's gotta go. Now, once this guy starts to turn, they'll need to be extremely careful about how they react. Most people's natural instinct is to run away screaming, but you have to remember that these zombies are primarily attracted to sound, so instead of panicking, they need to slowly start backing away without making any noise. Then they can use their superior numbers and his predictable behavior to their advantage. I would start by finding a weapon from the store's hardware, sporting goods, or kitchen sections. Next, they should use a loud noise like setting off a toy to lure him to an isolated part of the store, and then while he's focused on the noise, their 2 best fighters can quickly move in and take him down with a barrage of strikes to the head. Now, as a backup plan, they should have others ready with another noise-making distraction on the other side of the store. That way, if the 2 fighters are somehow overwhelmed, they can quietly sneak away while he's distracted again for a chance to rest. After enough time, the zombies outside should disperse and allow them to sneak back out. And they have plenty of supplies in here to wait. But if not, they should find which exit looks the best and then throw a noisemaker out of the window on the other side of the store, luring the zombies away from the exit that they want to use and giving them a chance to run for a car. With nothing but time to kill and an unlimited supply of booze, the others all start partying while the mystery girl keeps watch. They learn that their new friends here are actually flight attendants, checking another activity off Akira's list. But his buddy Kensho rizzes them up in a matter of seconds and gets all the attention for himself. That's when the mystery girl finds Akira here wallowing in shame, and he finally gets a chance to introduce himself for the first time. But she doesn't exactly have the highest hopes for their survival if they keep goofing around. And as if to prove her point, that's when the zombified bus driver suddenly lurches up from the floor. Akira gets to his feet, trying to stay as quiet as possible, but he bumps right into one of their empty bottles before they've even made it 2 steps, forcing them to run for their lives. Instead of chasing them, the zombie locks in on some noise from the back of the store where Kensho and the stewardesses are having a little party of their own in the costume section. He's just about to reach liftoff when the bus driver here sneaks up from behind and chomps one of the girls on the neck. Somehow the other 2 idiots haven't realized that he's a zombie yet and starts trying to pull him off, but he sinks his teeth into the other girl next as Kensho finally runs away. Across the store, the mystery girl hears the commotion and decides that she's out of there, leaving Akira and Kensho to fend for themselves. His buddy rushes through the aisles until he finds a place to hide, but just when it looks like he's about to get caught, they hear music coming from somewhere else in the shop, luring the creature away at the last second. It turns out that the mystery girl didn't ditch them after all, and after setting off a speaker to distract the bus driver, she makes a run for the door, only to be intercepted by the 2 zombie flight attendants. While they're chasing after her, the boys start going for the door instead, but when they realize that she's surrounded, they decide that they have to do something. Thinking quickly, Kensho sets off a bunch of fireworks to distract them while Akira circles around to save her, and working together, the 3 of them are able to lift the gate and get back outside. With the zombies still coming after them, they start searching the nearby cars to see if anyone left their keys, and as luck would have it, he manages to find a camper truck that starts right up. Shouting for the girl to get inside, she hesitates for a moment before finally agreeing to join their squad, and climbing aboard, they speed off just as a crowd of the infected almost surrounds their vehicle. After learning that the guys plan to become superheroes, she wastes no time telling them that it's a horrible idea, but she's happy to hitch a ride to the aquarium if that's where they're headed. Seeing how she's stuck with them for now, she reluctantly introduces herself as Shizuka, but she manages to make it clear that this team up here is only temporary. Even still, the boys here prefer to look on the bright side of the zombie apocalypse, so they want to turn this quest into a road trip with some fun stops along the way. The survival expert here insists that it's too dangerous, but after bumping into her at the store, Akira remembers her only weakness, a big bottle of sake, and they're finally able to convince her to lighten up and have some fun. Okay, this girl is the only one with any common sense, and meanwhile, Akira and Kensho here still haven't learned their damn lesson. I mean, it's only been 10 minutes since their last near-death experience, and they're already planning what fun activities they want to try next, but I've got some bad news for you boys. This should be less of a road trip and more like trying to bring the ring to Mordor. So I'd be taking their new friend's advice a lot more seriously. Their plan is to travel from Akira's neighborhood somewhere near the Tokyo Tower and reach the Aqua World Aquarium in Ibaraki, about 80 miles away, which doesn't seem that far in theory, but everything changes when you realize just how many zombies are going to be in their way. Tokyo is the single most populated city on Earth, with a total population of about 37 million people, and a population density of about 3,000 per square kilometer. For comparison, that's almost twice the population and population density of New York City. Now, the good news is that they don't have to travel that far, and while the vehicle that they're driving, a 1990s E350 Winnebago, doesn't exactly get the best gas mileage at about 7 to 10 miles per gallon, it has a huge fuel capacity of about 30 to 40 gallons, meaning that, on a full tank, they can easily make the trip to the aquarium without stopping for fuel. If they have at least half a tank, they can drive straight out of the city with no stops. Otherwise, they should look for the most isolated gas station that they can find and fuel up quickly while 2 of them keep the zombies distracted because, you know, it's always better to get the most dangerous part of the trip out of the way first, right? I mean, you feel me? They should avoid major roads as much as possible, as those are gonna be backed up with refugees turned zombies that never made it out of the city. Instead, I'd try to navigate along side roads that run adjacent to the main hallways, following Route 6 northeast out of the city for a straight shot to Ibaraki. You know, with how densely populated the route is going to be, they should avoid making any stops, whether that's for supplies, sightseeing, or otherwise, until they've traveled at least the first 50 kilometers of their route, putting them just beyond the Tone River. That creates a natural borderline between the Tokyo-adjacent suburbs and the more rural towns. See, I know this weeb life. Once they reach this area, the population density drops off by almost 84%, going from 13,000 people per square kilometer in the heart of the city to just 2,000 here on the outskirts, making it much safer to stop for supplies without being threatened. Another few days go by on the open road, with the crew stopping for all kinds of fun adventures as they slowly but surely become the three best friends that anyone could ever have. On the last night of their journey, they stop at a hot spring to check another activity off of the list, and opening up, Shizuka thanks them for saving her life, with Akira here secretly wishing that the trip never had to end. Sometime the next day, they spot the aquarium off in the distance, when all of a sudden the truck hits something in the road, causing them to swerve off course, and knocking Akira unconscious as he smacks his head on the closet. It was a spike strip, put out there intentionally by whoever calls this place home, but instead of being bandits or cannibals, it's actually something much worse. Several hours later, the kid jolts awake in a hospital bed only to find himself face to face with Chief Kazuki, his asshole of a supervisor from back at his old job. It just so happens that the production crew was filming a commercial for the place when the outbreak hit, and using his leadership skills, Kazuki here immediately took over as their new leader. Thanks to the fence and the endless supply of fish, they have everything that they need to survive right here at the aquarium, and he's been putting the other survivors to work as his labor force to keep the place up and running. To his surprise, he spots the pregnant couple from back at the apartment completing their daily chores, and he's relieved to see that they're both still alive, but the chief won't give them a second to talk, ordering the couple to get back to work. The craziest part is that he's even found a way to turn the zombies into employees, keeping a group of them in a big pen near the front gate to scare away any bandits who might attack the place for their supplies. For him, it's business as usual, making other people do the harder and more dangerous work while he sits back and reaps the rewards. And although this is basically Akira's worst nightmare coming true once again, he's still too brainwashed by loyalty to the company to stand up for himself, letting the chief here gaslight him into staying for the safety of his friends. Seeing how the bosses have turned his best friend back into their errand boy, Kensho here can barely resist the urge to crash out, but the husband convinces him not to cause any trouble for the safety of the other survivors. Meanwhile, sometime early the next morning, a scavenging team is out looking for supplies when a zombie falls into the back of their truck, but the guard is too busy worrying about his hair to notice. While the others are asleep, the husband shows Kensho and Shizuka here a hidden exit to where they've been keeping everyone's cars. They wonder why he's never tried to escape before, but he explains that everyone else stays there willingly because they'd know that they would never make it on the outside. At the gate, the resource trucks return and start offloading their supplies, but as soon as they open the door, the stowaway zombie lunges out and attacks the first person that he sees. In a matter of seconds, all hell breaks loose as their own horde of guard zombies goes rogue and breaches the perimeter, charging into the shelter before they even know what's happening. Okay, anyone who didn't see this coming is an absolute idiot. And right now, I'm looking at you, Chief Kasugi. You're supposed to be the smartest person here, which is why you get to bully everyone else around and make them do all the grunt work, right? But now it seems like your own arrogance is exactly what's going to lead to your downfall, and that's why you just up. Now, I'll admit that this disaster isn't entirely your fault. I mean, none of this would have ever happened if the scavenging team had been more alert. But when you're leading a community in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, you kinda need to expect the unexpected. And your whole so-called security system was like a house made out of dominoes just waiting to get knocked over. Using the zombies like guard dogs does seem like a great idea on paper, but the way you set it up was about as flawed as it could have possibly have been. First off, you need to be checking the scavenging trucks for stowaway zombies before they've entered the true perimeter, not after. Otherwise, you might as well not even have a fence at all. And then, look at how you have these zombies just pinned in here. Just one layer of fence surrounding them with absolutely nothing to stop them if they somehow made it past the gate. Considering how dangerous one zombie could be, what you needed here was a system of redundant gates that acted sort of like zombie airlocks. So that if an accident happened and they did get past the main gate, there would still be several layers of barricades to keep them from storming right into the facility itself. I mean, come on, man. Also, take a look at your guards. I don't see a single gun or even a weapon of any kind to help them fight back in the event of a security breach. Even if you don't have access to firearms, these guys should have been kitted out with makeshift armor and weapons. Otherwise, they're pretty much completely useless when it comes to doing their job. A so-called leader, like yourself, should have had this place running with top-notch security. Electric fences, rain catches, a garden, the works, you know? But it looks like all you managed to do was find a way to extend these poor people's miserable corporate existences a few months longer. So sorry, Chief, but that is exactly why you f***ed up. Inside, the survivors are taken completely by surprise as the zombies rush in and start tearing them apart. Some of them even get tackled straight into the tank, where the sharks start devouring anything that hits the water. Luckily for our heroes, they happen to be outside, trying to convince Akira that the three of them should sneak away. Kensho fixed the tire on their camper, and even he gathered enough supplies to last them a long time. But by now, the kid's already so brainwashed that he doesn't want to leave anymore, arguing that it's much safer to stay there. The group can't seem to agree anymore, and after getting into an argument, Shizuka here finds the boys' list in the truck. Looking it over, she notices there's only one activity left that Akira hasn't crossed off: become a superhero who saves everyone. And that's when she finally realizes what she has to do. Back inside, the supervisors notice that they seem a little low on workers, but the zombies still haven't made it to this part of the base. The girl runs to Akira, telling him that they're leaving and asking him one last time to come with, but he still can't find the courage to stand up to his old boss. Frustrated, she tells him how she used to be the same way, putting safety over everything else in life. But now, after their road trip, she's learned why it's so important to live a life that makes you happy. Holding up his bucket list, the girl reminds him that he never got a chance to finish it, and he starts having flashbacks to how much he hated mindlessly working at his old job. Seeing that she's getting through to him, the boss steps in and rips the notebook right out of her hands, telling Akira that it sucks, as he throws it to the ground and starts weakly stomping on it out of pure disrespect. It's enough to make him finally snap, and to everyone's surprise, the kid knocks him down and declares that he's quitting, telling the guy that he'd just rather risk his life outside than spend one more day working for him. It's a big moment, and now Akira is finally back to himself again, but it's interrupted when the giant horde of zombies comes rushing around the corner. Saving as many people as they can, Akira and his friends lead the survivors to safety just as the zombies are about to close in. They find the chief here hiding in the room above the shark tank, and Kensho immediately runs over to start roughing him up, until suddenly a zombified great white blasts out of the water and lands directly on top of one of the henchmen. For a second, it seems like they're safe because the shark can't move on land, but then a moment later, the legs of all the zombies that it's already swallowed come bursting out of its chest, giving it the ability to run like some kind of zombie sharkopede, and the survivors realize that they're completely f***ed. Telling everyone to run now, the group flees back into the hallway only to be cut off as the beast smashes straight through the wall, and the only thing left for them to do is hide inside of a nearby supply closet. The chief gets separated and tries to sneak away, but ends up getting the monster's attention instead. And after realizing that he's missing, Akira here decides that he needs to go save his life. His friends don't get it at first, but he can't be a superhero unless he he saves everyone. And now that he understands, Kensho points to a display at the back of the room where they find the bite-proof suit that he's been looking for the whole time. Okay, a zombified great white is a combination of words that I never thought that I would be saying, but now it looks like Akira here has to battle one to the death if they're going to survive. The good news is that he finally has his super suit, but that still won't make him invincible, especially against zombie Bruce here. Instead of using chainmail like a traditional Neptunic shark suit, his appears to be a bite-resistant wetsuit similar to those designed by the Australian company Sharkstop, which use ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene woven into a textile mash, resulting in a traditional style wetsuit that's incredibly resistant to punctures and tearing. I mean, they're the most advanced anti-shark suits in the world. But even still, they're only rated for species up to tiger sharks. I mean, by comparison, a great white has 4 times the bite force at around 4,000 psi, so even if the material prevents you from being cut, the bite wounds would still crush your bones. Now, knowing this, Akira can't rely on the suit alone to help him win this fight, but with some quick thinking, clever use of their environment, and of course the power of friendship, there might still be a way to fry this fish before it chomps anyone else. Now first, Akira needs to use his newfound confidence and the protection of his suit to lure the shark all the way down to the far end of the hallway. While it's busy chasing after him, Kensho needs to sneak out and go for the nearby forklift. Yeah, I've seen that one, because that's what's going to be the weapon that they use to take it down. Gotta be forklift certified. Now, let's assume this is an average-sized great white, weighing in about 1,500 to 2,500 pounds, and it swallowed up 20 zombies capable of producing 200 pounds of thrust per leg. With some math, we can estimate that it can reach a top speed of 10 to 12 miles per hour at a full charge. If Kensho here were to lure it into a blind charge while driving straight towards it with the forklift's top speed, with the forks raised to the head level with the shark, the impact could have a combined collision speed of about 20 miles per hour. I mean, that's more than enough to kill it. And as long as he wears his seatbelt, the forklift should protect Kensho from injury, allowing them to become superheroes just like Akira always wanted. Just when it looks like the chief here is done for, Akira comes swinging in like a Power Ranger and drop kicks the shark square in the nose, saving his life just at the last moment. The only problem is, this is as far as he got with the plan, and when the shark starts attacking them again, the chief panics and accidentally lets a bunch of zombies into the hallway. The asshole leaves him for dead, but that's when his buddy Kensho jumps on the forklift, using it to distract the shark, while he goes to rescue his boss for the second time. He finds Kasugi fighting for his life back in the tank room, holding back the zombies and telling the man to run. The shark eventually overpowers Kensho's forklift, but it's so blinded by rage that he's able to sneak away without it noticing. As for Akira, he's quickly overwhelmed and starts taking bites all over his body, but luckily the suit does its job, stopping their teeth from getting through. Kensho finds his way into the room through a hole in the wall, and the shark ends up wedged inside as it tries to chase after him. Just then, they hear music coming from the entrance and see Shizuka holding up 2 megaphones, using the sound to distract the zombies. Running past them and jumping to the top of the platform, she throws the speakers into the exhibit behind her, and the zombies tumble into the tank as they mindlessly chase after the noise. That takes care of the shamblers, but they aren't safe yet, because just when it seems like the fight is over, the shark breaks through the wall and knocks Kasugi to the other side of the room. Running over to him, Akira tries to get the man back on his feet, but the shark wakes up first, and all he can do is use a piece of the display to hold its jaw open. The post quickly breaks as the monster chomps down on his arm, but luckily he's protected by the suit, and that's when his friends get an idea. Grabbing a flashlight, Shizuka takes out the batteries and tapes them together, saying how Akira can use his suit as a conductor to overwhelm the shark's electrosensory organs with a direct hit to its head. There's just one problem. They can't get close enough to give it to him, but Kensho here finally remembers his football skills and hits him with the perfect pass, redeeming himself for blowing it during their last big game. Catching the pass, Akira leaps off of the platform and slams the batteries directly onto the shark's nose, sending a jolt of electricity coursing through its body that completely fries it from the inside out, finally defeating it once and for all. Worried, the kid rushes to check on his friends, but he's relieved to find that everyone made it through in one piece. Even the chief here is still alive, but the zombies have completely taken over the rest of the aquarium, meaning that they'll all be going on another road trip after all. Naturally, Kosugi here tries to stop them all from leaving, but after seeing what a real hero looks like, they've all been inspired to learn how to take care of themselves. Leaving the place behind, the trio hits the road, wondering what adventure they'll go on next, and Akira says that he wants to become a superhero full-time. But in the end, they finally learned the most important lesson of all. Sometimes the real zombie apocalypse is the friends that we make along the way. Man, what a fucking crazy movie. Never in my life did I think I would see a zombie movie like this, but I'm so glad that the genre is alive and well, and everyone can take it and bend its rules to their plot will. Having said that, did I miss anything? Would you guys have done anything differently? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like on this video and subscribe if you're not, and be sure to check out that How to Beat playlist for more videos exactly like this one. I'm the guy. We'll see you in the next video, and have a damn good day.